Welcome back, everybody. It's Zach here, bringing us another fantasy football video. This time we're going over the starts and sits, the remaining ones for Week 12. We just had a pretty fun Thursday night football game, snowy game in Cleveland. Cleveland pulled it out over Pittsburgh. Tough to see for me, I'm a big Russ fan, but good game there. We got 7 other games to talk about here. I covered the previous 6 games of the week in the video that came out yesterday, so if I don't talk about any of the games you're looking for, just watch that video. Those will be in there. And then, of course, if you guys have any specific start-sit questions, just let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to give you guys my advice there. So yeah, 7 games to talk about here. We got 13 total games this weekend with 6 teams on bye, and I think there's a lot of tough decisions people have to make because of all the buys and everything, so hopefully I can help you out. But yeah, let's just get into it here. First game here was going to be the Bucs at the Giants. We're going to get Mike Evans back this week, and it makes Baker Mayfield feel like a really solid streaming option against the Giants team that just has not been very competitive lately. Rashad White and Bucky Irving both get to play a really poor run defense in New York, so I think I'm playing both of them as top 20 plays. Mike Evans, he's right back in your lineup for sure. This is a plus matchup, and they clearly need him. And then Cade Otton as well. I'd put him in lineups. He's a guy that has been fantastic. He's super critical to this Buccaneers offense. The Giants are technically the worst matchup for opposing tight ends. I don't really buy into that too much. I just don't think there's really anything very good about this defense at all, and they're going to have to be hyper-targeting Cade Otton because he's sort of the possession receiver for this team now. So I'm still playing Cade Otton. I wouldn't be scared off by the matchup. For the Giants, Malik Neighbors and Tyrone Tracy, they're both going to be in lineups. There's nothing really that scares me there with the quarterback change. If anything, they might dump it down even more because DeVito is just not quite as mobile as Daniel Jones. So I think I'd be looking to play both of those guys and then nobody else for New York. I'm not going to get cute with Slayton. I'm not going to stream DeVito. It's going to be Neighbors and Tracy and then nobody else there. Next up, we got the Lions at the Colts. For the Lions, you're going to start all of them. They're playing like they're the best team in football right now. They're executing on all levels. You just can't really bench these guys. Jared Goff and Jameson Williams, probably the only two like real questions here. I feel confident enough to start both of them. It's a plus matchup here against Indianapolis. Jameson Williams has been getting deep and doing a lot with the ball and his limited opportunities there. So I'd be playing him. We're just seeing Jared Goff come off a massive performance. Again, you need the touchdowns to go his way to really be confident there. So he's like a fringe starting option, but I'm starting him in a couple of leagues. I feel okay about him as a streaming option this week. Sam Laporta also probably would be in my lineup this week if he's active. It sounds like he's trending towards starting, and again, this is a plus matchup in Indianapolis, so I would be playing him. For the Colts, they're a tougher thing to really evaluate here. Jonathan Taylor, he's obviously going to be in your lineups, but this is a horrendous matchup. The Lions are one of the best run defenses in the NFL. They really just don't give anything up to opposing running backs, so it's tough there, but there's no way you're benching JT. But you honestly don't need to play anybody else there. If you're going to play a receiver for Indianapolis, Josh Downs is the wide receiver we want to play. We did see Anthony Richardson play well last week against the New York Jets. That's the issue, though, is that it was against the Jets. We haven't really seen Anthony Richardson be good for an extended period of time there, so I'm still not super optimistic about the upside for this passing game, but still think you can play Josh Downs. They should be trailing and need to throw the ball in this game, and then it makes Anthony Richardson like a boomer bust streaming option. If you're a heavy underdog, I feel comfortable playing him because he gives you that extra upside, but it's also possible that he goes out there and throws 3 picks, fumbles the ball, and ends up with 5 fantasy points. So there is a very wide range of outcomes for Richardson here, so I'm personally too scared to play him unless you're a heavy underdog, but there is definitely upside there for Richardson this week. Next, we got the Broncos at the Raiders. Kind of a gross game here. Neither team really gets me super excited, although the Broncos have been playing really well lately. So Bo Nix, he's a fantastic streaming option against what has been a horrendous Raiders pass defense. You can't make me play a Denver running back, though. It's probably going to be Javonte as the lead back this week, but it sounds like they're going to go with the hot hand approach between him and Estime. Neither one of them is really good enough to really have that true hot hand in my eyes anyway, so I bet one of them scores a touchdown this week. I can't honestly tell you which one. I would bet on it being Javonte if I had to, so if you need to play a Denver running back, it would be Javonte, but it just feels like we're guessing every week now, so I don't really want to do that. For the pass catchers, Courtland Sutton, he's a must start. You're playing him, and then if you need to get cute, Vele is a deep league option. I know a lot of people have a lot of bias to deal with, but I just don't really want to play anybody but Sutton. For the Raiders, Brock Bowers, you're starting him for sure. He's a fantastic player, probably the tight end 1 going forward. Jacoby Myers, he's an option. I don't love it. He'll probably get the Patrick Surtain treatment in this one. Doesn't get me super excited. I would prefer to bench him if I can. And then I don't want to play any backfield mates for the Raiders as well. We're dealing with injuries for both Alexander Madison and Zamir White. If I had to bet, I bet they both don't play. So we're looking at Dylan Laub and Amir Abdullah getting the majority of the work. If that happens, I'd play Abdullah over Laub. If you're in PPR, I think it makes him like a really low-end starting option, but it just feels so gross. I really don't want to go there, but if you need to, I think you can play Abdullah as a PPR option. But again, you're praying for like 5 catches and 40 yards, and it just feels really gross. So I'd prefer not to look there, but I get it. Bye weeks and everything, you could go there if you need to. Next up, we got the Cardinals at the Seahawks. This one should be super fun here. We've got the Cardinals coming out of their bye, and it really seems like they're trending up. So lots of reasons to be excited here. You're going to start all of the usual Cardinals: Kyler, Connor, Harrison, and Trey McBride. They're all must starts, and there's really nobody else to consider there. Like Michael Wilson's a really deep league option if you're desperate. I don't want to go there. And then Trey Benson, not involved enough for me to play. So just going to be those four guys and nobody else. For the Seahawks, Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, they're going to be must starts in this one. I feel pretty good about JSN as well, coming off of two straight pretty solid games. I think you can play JSN as like a wide receiver 3. And then Geno, he's a low-end streaming option. This Cardinals defense has been trending up lately, so there is some concern that just maybe they're a good defense. I don't necessarily buy into that, but there is obviously the potential there for the Seahawks to lay a dud here. Coming off of an emotional win last week, there are reasons why the Seahawks could have a letdown here. So I'd be a little worried, but I still think you can stream Geno if you need to. I just think there are general better options. Like I prefer Goff, I prefer Tua, I prefer Jordan Love, I prefer Baker. Those caliber players, I'd prefer to look elsewhere than Geno, but he's still in play if you need him. Next up, we got the 49ers at the Packers. Seems like Brock Purdy's questionable to suit up in this one. He's dealing with a shoulder injury. Even if he plays, I would prefer to sit him here. This is a pretty good Packers pass defense. Brock Purdy, if he's playing hurt, I just don't really trust it. I don't really want to go there. I don't like playing guys that are not at full health, that are already on like this bubble in terms of being a start-sit option for me. So I'd prefer not to play Purdy here. Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and Jawan Jennings, they're in your lineups regardless. Just understand that if we do see Brock Purdy sit this one out, it makes every single one of them a less optimal start. Deebo Samuel, he's a wide receiver 3 for me, but it does feel gross. He hasn't been playing very well. He's not super involved in this offense right now, so it's tough, but I think you can play him as a wide receiver 3. Just don't expect him to be like the reason you win your matchup. For the Packers, Jordan Love, he's a low-end quarterback 1 for me. The Niners are a solid but not fantastic defense, so I still feel pretty good about Love here. Josh Jacobs, he needs to be in lineups. There's no way I'd really be sitting him the way he's been playing. And then all 3 of the Packers wide receivers feel like flex plays for me, to be honest. I would rank them Christian Watson, Reed, then Dobbs, but I think they're all in play as flex options. Christian Watson's obviously got more upside. Jaden Reed got the more like maybe reliable floor, but they're not necessarily hyper targeting him like they were earlier on in the season. And Romeo Dobbs just feels like you're dealing with probably 8 to 12 fantasy points, which is okay, but it's not necessarily going to be something that wins you your week. I would prefer to sit Tucker Kraft if I could, though. It just hasn't been super involved lately. It feels like you need a touchdown, and I don't want to bet on that in the game against a pretty solid Niners defense. Next, we got a great Sunday night game here between the Eagles and the Rams. For the Eagles, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, and Saquon, they're all must-starts in this one. Devonta Smith would be in lineups for me if he's active. Just keep an eye on his injury status, though. He hasn't practiced either Wednesday or Thursday with a hamstring injury, so if he does miss this game, it makes Dallas Goedert a more intriguing start. Assuming Devonta Smith starts, though, I'd prefer to sit Goedert. Again, though, if Smith is out, Dallas Goedert always gets more involved when one of those 2 wide receivers sits, so Goedert becomes a pretty intriguing play if Smith is inactive. For the Rams, I'd prefer to sit Stafford. The Eagles' pass defense has been phenomenal lately, and it makes me a little bit worried there. But even as good as the Eagles' pass defense has been, you're still going to play Kyren, Kupp, and Puka. They're just too involved in this offense. It's basically the only thing this offense runs through, outside of the occasional Demarcus Robinson and all that. So you're playing those 3, and then really nobody else. I wouldn't expect Kupp or Puka to go out there and put up 100-yard games this week. They're still got a pretty good shot to score here. This should be a pretty high-scoring game between these 2 teams, but just the ceiling there doesn't really feel like it's there for Puka or Kupp this week, just because of how well the Eagles are playing on defense right now. And then lastly, we get a really fun Monday Night Football game between the Ravens and the Chargers. Really should be an awesome matchup here. For the Ravens, Lamar and Derrick Henry, they're auto starts. You can't even consider benching those guys. I would try to get both Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews in my lineup as well this week. Justin Herbert, he's arguably the best streaming option of all the quarterbacks this week. The Ravens are a fantastic matchup for opposing quarterbacks, really find themselves in a lot of shootouts. I want to get Justin Herbert in my lineup. Makes Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnson both really solid like wide receiver 3 plays. Will Dissly, even a solid streaming option at the tight end position because of how high scoring this game should be. And then J.K. Dobbins feels like a low-end RB2 for me. The Ravens, as bad as they've been at defending the pass, they've been really good at defending the run so far this season. Feels like J.K. Dobbins is going to need a touchdown for him to score, and both of his touchdowns last week kind of fluky. He scored at the end of the game when he probably should have gone down, and then he also scored on a 4th down after they tried to run it twice with Gus Edwards and once with Hassan Haskins. So it's not like J.K. Dobbins was the goal line back there. There's plenty of reason to be concerned there. So you can play J.K. Dobbins for sure, but I just don't view him as like a guy that you need to start. He's probably a guy that needs a touchdown. If he doesn't get it, you're going to feel a little sad. So that'll do it for the starts and sits in Week 12. Up next, I'll probably be doing a live stream this week, traveling for the holidays and everything, so I'll try to get around to it. But if I can't, I'll let you guys know the day ahead before. Other than that, though, if you guys do have any specific start-sit questions, just let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to make sure I get a response to you guys prior to the games kicking off on Sunday. There will also continue to be start-sits every single week, waiver wire videos, trade videos, all that stuff's going to come out every single week. So make sure you subscribe to the channel that we don't miss any of the future content. And if you made it this far in the video, just give it a thumbs up. It helps me out quite a bit. Other than that, I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you with the next one. Peace. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.